It all started with small things of tiny cracks in the mirror of our seemingly perfect life. At first, I thought I was just being overly sensitive. My husband, David, had always been a bit secretive about his phone. He'd quickly put it face down whenever I walked into the room or take calls in another room, muttering something about work issues. I told myself it was nothing after all. We'd been together for 8 years, married for 5. We had a cozy house, a sweet dog, and plans for a baby. But then came the late nights. Client dinner, he'd say. Urgent project. The excuses stacked up like dirty dishes in the sink. I do lie in bed, listening to the front door click open at 2 a.m, and tell myself, he's tired. He's stressed. He loves me. One night, I couldn't sleep. I went downstairs for water and saw his phone glowing on the couch. Just one notification, a message with a heart emoji. My stomach twisted. I didn't open it. I shouldn't have. But the seed of doubt had already taken root. I stood there, frozen, the kitchen clock ticking loudly in the silence. The blue light from the screen cast eerie shadows on the walls. Part of me wanted to turn away, to preserve the illusion of our happy life. But another part, the part that had been ignored for months, it demanded answers. I took a deep breath, reached for the phone, then pulled my hand back. Tomorrow, I promised myself. Tomorrow, I'll ask him about it. I tried to talk to David the next morning. Hey, I saw your phone last night, I began carefully. He laughed. You're spying on me now? That's cute. His tone was light, but his eyes were sharp. It was just a work group chat. You're being paranoid. Paranoid. The word stung. I replayed the last few months, the missed anniversaries. The business trips that never quite added up, the way he'd flinch when I hugged him from behind. Was I imagining it all? That evening, I found a receipt in his jacket pocket. A hotel booking. My hands went cold. When I showed it to him, he rolled his eyes. That's from last month, babe. For the conference. You're seeing ghosts. He kissed my forehead. You need to relax. Maybe see a therapist. You've been so intense lately. Intense. Not suspicious. Not hurt. Intense. The more I questioned, the more he turned it back on me. Soon, I started to wonder. Was I the problem? I began journaling my thoughts, hoping to prove to myself I wasn't losing my mind. Page after page filled with timestamps, contradictions, and his increasingly defensive reactions. One night, I read aloud what I'd written. The pattern was undeniable, but would anyone else see it? Or would they, like David, call me too intense? I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being manipulated. One afternoon, while David was at work, I searched his desk, not for evidence, I told myself, but for peace of mind. In the back of his bottom drawer, I found a small notebook. My heart pounded as I opened it. Page after page of neat handwriting. Dates, times, expenses. Dinner with L $84, hotel reservation $220, flowers for her birthday $65 L. Who was L? My fingers trembled as I flipped further. They're circled in red. Tell her about the promotion, she'll be so happy. Her. Not me. I slammed the notebook shut. Logical explanations swirled in my head. Maybe it's a client. Maybe it's his sister. Maybe I'm overreacting. But the entries were too personal, too frequent. And why hide it? That night, I pretended nothing had changed. I made David his favorite meal, laughed at his jokes, and waited. I needed proof, undeniable proof, before I destroyed everything. I started noting his routines. When he left, when he returned, what he said about his day. Each lie felt like a small betrayal, chipping away at the foundation of trust we'd built. How long has this been going on? I wondered. And how much of our life is a lie? I downloaded a GPS tracker app, not because I wanted to invade his privacy, but because I needed to stop the mental torture. For 3 days, I watched his little blue dot move across the map. Office, gym, grocery store. Normal. Boring. Reassuring. Until Friday. His dot stopped at a coffee shop at 3 p.m. A place he'd never mentioned. I drove there, parked across the street, and waited. 20 minutes later, a woman walked in. Blonde, slim, in a red coat. She kissed him. My breath hitched. I fumbled for my phone, snapped a blurry photo through the car window. They sat by the window, laughing, her hand on his arm. He looked happy. Really happy. The kind of happy he hadn't shown me in months. I should have stormed in. I should have screamed. But I just sat there, numb, as the sun dipped below the buildings. When they left, I followed them, not out of anger, but out of a desperate need to know. The dot led to a downtown hotel. I parked in the shadows and watched him hand the valet his keys. The woman leaned in for another kiss. My hands gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. This is it, I thought. This is the moment everything changes. I took another photo, then sat there for an hour, watching the hotel's revolving doors, wondering if I'd ever recognized the man I married. I waited until he was in the shower. Then I placed the notebook, the crumpled hotel receipt, and the blurry photo on the bathroom counter, a silent accusation in 3 acts. He stepped out, wrapped in a towel, and froze. The steam from the shower swirled around him like a fog. "Where did you get this?" His voice was low, dangerous, nothing like the gentle tone he used with me just hours ago. "I found it," I said, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. "Who is Elle?" Silence stretched between us, thick enough to choke on. Then, finally, "It's not what you think." "Then explain it." I crossed my arms, refusing to let him see how much this was tearing me apart. "Because right now, it looks like you've been lying to me for months." He sat on the edge of the tub, head in his hands. "Her name is Leah. She's my daughter." The words hung in the humid air. "Your daughter?" I repeated, the concept refusing to settle in my mind. "Since when?" "Since last year. Her mom, Sarah, she died suddenly. Leah found me through old records." He looked up, eyes pleading. "I didn't know about her. I swear. When she reached out, I was lost. I didn't know how to tell you." A wave of conflicting emotions crashed over me. Relief it was an affair. Anger, why the secrecy? Confusion, why the hotel meetings? "So you decided to hide her." My voice rose despite my efforts to stay calm. "You chose lies over trust." "Over us?" "Because I thought you'd leave me." His whisper was barely audible. I was ashamed of my past. Ashamed that I'd failed as a father before I even knew I was one. I stared at him, the man I'd vowed to love and honor, and realized the person standing before me was a stranger. David's story didn't add up. A 17-year-old daughter he'd never mentioned. A dead ex-girlfriend. It felt like a script from a soap opera, too neat, too tragic, too perfectly timed to excuse his behavior. "Show me Leah," I demanded. "Let me meet her. If she's real, if this is all true, I want to see her with you." "Not yet," he said, avoiding my gaze. "She's fragile. This is a lot for her." That was the moment I knew. Something was off. Why protect a stranger's feelings over mine? Why keep secrets from your wife but supposedly confide in a teenage girl? I spent the next 2 days playing detective. First, I searched public records for Sarah Thompson. No death certificate matched his description. Then I checked local schools for Leah Thompson. Nothing. Every lead ended in a dead end. Late one night, I found an old college yearbook in David's study. Flipping through the pages, I spotted a young woman labeled Sarah Miller, not Thompson. Her bio mentioned a transfer to another university. No mention of a child. The final piece came when I called David's old roommate, Mark. "Sarah?" He laughed. "Yeah, we dated briefly. She moved to California after graduation. Last I heard, she was a yoga instructor in Malibu. No kids, no husband." My hands went cold. Every fact David had given me was a lie. But why? What was he really hiding? If David was lying about Leah, what else was he hiding? I needed concrete proof, something undeniable that would force him to face the truth. I started with his email. Not the obvious accounts, but the ones he might think I'd never find. After hours of searching, I discovered a secondary Gmail address buried in his browser history. The password. Our anniversary date, a sick twist of irony. Inside, dozens of draft emails to LA unopened. "Can't wait to see you tonight. Miss you already. Thinking about our trip next month." No mention of fatherhood. No family talk. Just the language of lovers. Then I found the photos. Not family snapshots, but intimate moments. Elle laughing in a hotel room, Elle wearing David's shirt, Elle asleep with his arm around her. Each image was time-stamped over the past 6 months, right when our marriage started crumbling. My stomach churned. This wasn't about a lost daughter. This was a full-blown affair. But who was she? The emails gave no last name, no address. Just Elle, love, baby. I needed more. Using a reverse image search, I uploaded one of the clearer photos. After 20 minutes, a match appeared. A LinkedIn profile. Leah Corridor, marketing coordinator at Sterling & Co. The same company where David worked late twice a week. The pieces clicked into place. The hotel reservations. The secret meetings. The lies. It was all real, just not the story Head told me. I printed every piece of evidence. The emails, the photos, the LinkedIn profile, the GPS logs. I arranged them on our dining table like a courtroom exhibit. When David walked in, he froze. "What is this?" His voice was calm, but his eyes darted between the papers and my face. "It's the truth," I said, my voice steady despite the hurricane inside me. Or at least, what's left of it. He scanned the pages, his expression shifting from shock to anger to something like resignation. "You went through my emails. You lied to me," I countered. "For months. About everything. Leah is not your daughter," I finished for him. "Shows your mistrust. And you've been using her as an excuse to destroy our marriage." Silence. Then quietly. "I never meant for it to go this far. But it did." I pushed a photo across the table, one of them in bed together. "This isn't a mistake. This isn't a slip. This is a choice you made every single day." His hands clenched into fists. "I was lonely. You were always so distant. Because you pushed me away." My voice cracked. "Every time I tried to talk, you made me feel crazy. Paranoid. Intense." He looked down. "I know. Do you?" I stood, gathering the papers. "Because I don't think you do. I think you've been living in this fantasy where you're the victim. But you're not. You're the one who broke us." For the first time, I saw real fear in his eyes. "What are you going to do?" What I should have done months ago. I walked to the door, turned, and said the words I never thought I'd utter. "I'm leaving." Leaving that house felt like stepping out of a suffocating fog. I drove aimlessly, my mind racing. What now? Where do I go? The answers didn't come. Instead, there were only questions, sharp, relentless, like splinters under my skin. I checked into a small hotel, the kind with faded curtains and a faint smell of mildew. It was a far cry from our cozy home, but for the first time in months, I felt safe. No hidden notebooks. No whispered phone calls. No gaslighting. That night, I called my sister. "He was cheating," I said, the words tasting like ash. "For months." And he tried to cover it up with this elaborate lie about a daughter. She didn't hesitate. "You're staying with me tomorrow. Pack what you need. We'll figure this out." The next morning, I returned to the house. David was gone, probably at the office, or with her. I moved quickly, filling suitcases with clothes, photos, and the few belongings that truly mattered. As I zipped up the last bag, I noticed the wedding album on the shelf. I opened it to our vows. In sickness and in health the words blurred as tears filled my eyes. Had we ever met them? Before leaving, I wrote a note. "I'm not the one who broke us. You did. When you chose lies over truth, secrets over trust, someone else over me. I deserve better. And so do you, but not with me." I left it on the kitchen counter, next to the notebook Head hidden for so long. Life after David wasn't what I'd imagined. There were no dramatic breakdowns, no wailing or gnashing of teeth. Instead, there was a quiet, steady resolve like water carving its way through stone. My sister's house became my sanctuary. She didn't ask questions, didn't offer unsolicited advice. She just made coffee in the morning and left a light on at night. Slowly, I began to reclaim pieces of myself I'd lost. I resumed my painting, the brushes feeling foreign in my hands at first, then natural. I joined a hiking group, where strangers became friends who didn't know my history, just my present. I started therapy, where I learned the word gaslighting and realized I wasn't crazy. I was manipulated. One evening, I found myself scrolling through old photos, not of David, but of me. Graduation. Backpacking in Spain. Laughing with friends at a concert. Who was that girl? I wondered. And how do I become her again? Then, an email notification. A message from Leah. "I saw you that day at the cough. I didn't know he was married. I'm so sorry." My fingers hovered over the keyboard. What could I say? "Thank you for confirming my nightmare. I hope you find better men." Instead, I replied simply, "Thank you for telling the truth."